Hey, MIPCOM, how you doing? Live here in Cannes, south of France. My name is, of course, David Fox with Fox Populi Wonder Media Imagination in Motion, and we are here live with a much more important person than myself, and that would be Mr. Brian Cobb. Brian, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's my second time on your show.
Yes, okay. Well, glad to see you come back for more. Obviously, it meant hope that you had a good time here last time, so...
You haven't aged a day. I need to know what your moisturizing cream is or what your diet is, you know?
Oh, stop it, you. Yeah. Anyway, Brian, obviously you are a bit of a star around here. Tell us a bit about your company.
I run a company called Cobbstar Productions based out of Sydney. We kicked off in about 2012.
That's right.
Our springboard series was a series called The Horizon, which is an LGBTIQ series that was one of the first to use YouTube as a narrative storytelling platform.
Okay. Now, you've just touched upon two very important elements there, so let's unpack those for a moment. First thing, theme, LGBT theme. So basically, what is, in just a nutshell, the synopsis of the series, without any massive plot spoilers, of course.
Well, basically, it's a fish out of water story.
Yeah.
A closeted gay country boy comes to Sydney. He's been dating a scene queen for a little bit. He's a bit of a sex addict.
Yeah.
So we follow him as the entree into Sydney's gay scene, and his beauty and his love for this guy is sort of shattered when he finds out that this guy that he's falling in love with isn't all that he said he was via, Skyping and social media.
Okay. Now, you said that this is one of the first, or the first series that works entirely on YouTube. Is that what you?
Yeah, I think as a narrative scripted platform. Yeah, so
precisely.
Obviously YouTube had people scaring their cats, or there's dad on the toilet, or I'm pranking my mother.
I know. Yes. The golden age of the internet, isn't it?
It's beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful.
It is beautiful. Yeah. Here's another cat video. But Brian, whence did the idea occur to you to put this on YouTube rather than any kind of linear television? What led you through that process?
Well, I sort of fell into it, in all honesty. I've had a bit of luck in my career, and I'm very happy and honest to say that.
Well,
the AIDS Council of New South Wales, they identified a gap gap in the market's the wrong word. They identified that gay boys between the ages of 18 and 30 weren't getting the message about HIV awareness and safe sex.
Oh, yes.
So the AIDS Council came to a friend of mine who was writing for Home and Away and Packed to the Rafters and said to him, we want to do a YouTube video. And he said, no, let's scrap that. Let's do an 8x5 minute gay soap opera, basically. And we'll entwine safe sex messages through the series. And it went to 1 million hits, and that was in 2009.
Oh, my goodness.
And this was before anyone knew what that sort of currency meant. And so a very good friend of mine who's a drag queen said to me when I was finishing film school, do you want to come on and produce season 2? So I did. We raised a little bit more money this time, and then we went to 10 million hits.
Oh, my word.
And that's the explosion of our company. That's how it started. And it's a very socially conscious aware. It gets
precisely
the most up-to-date management of HIV. It's been a really successful series. Cut to 8 seasons, 70 million views globally, 160,000 subscribers, and it's been a real hit.
Now, I mean, obviously, we're not just talking about technology and distribution here. We're also addressing a very important theme. Now, yesterday we already had a bunch of interviews about proper diversity and representation in media and entertainment. So what you're doing, in a way, very much so even, is a form of social engagement and awareness, and it's about more than safe sex. I'm guessing. I mean, in terms of putting identity on the map and maybe helping with a massive mentality shift that we see beyond the world of entertainment, can you describe what according to you, the potential impact of this kind of programming can have on the LGBT community?
Well, I think at that time, no TV broadcaster was going to touch a series that ours was, right?
Yes.
So there was obviously a dearth in positive role models that LGBTIQ people could associate with. And so with obviously the explosion of YouTube, and then you cut the middleman out, all these sort of misrepresented or underrepresented communities could have a place and a voice. And we found that audience really quickly, and then there's been spring-off shows from Australia. There's we call it our sister show called Starting From Now, who's also kicking ass with getting their audience and again having all social conscious messages all the way through.
Precisely.
So it's been a really good platform and a really interesting access to your audience because they can find you via social media, right? So we get messages on how to change the storylines. Don't kill this character off. Don't break that character up. Bring back that one. It was quite an amazing journey, and one that I'm very proud to say that we've done really well.
Of course. No, you're absolutely right. It seems to me that the entire YouTube explosion is more of a democratization of the media as well, right? Like you say, we are. What did you say? We're cutting out the middleman. And so basically we're putting people more in charge of not just producing content, but rewarding it as well, right? It's a very kind of straightforward feedback system. So have you heard of any incidents of basically people being inspired by your show, Horizon, to do similar things on the web?
We've had a lot of fan engagement. There was our lead character actually had a T-shirt. A T-shirt made of him saying "I love Paul Layton." That was very amusing.
Awesome.
Our lead character Wilma Bumhurt. That's
wow!
It's our drag queen.
What's in a name?
That's it, right? She had a spin-off show. She's been doing interviews, so she's had her own little trajectory that sprung off from the series. But it's also, yes, it has inspired other people, I think, globally too. And the way we did it, I think people thought easy is not the right word, but the 5D camera also came out at that time, so production expenses sort of went down, but the value still sort of stayed high,
Yes.
And we just happened to be at the crossroads of preparation because we've worked our butts off to get to this point, and also opportunity, which was YouTube.
I can imagine.
And the 5D.
Now, and can you give any examples, or do you think the at least the local Australian television landscape, linear television, has at least been, I don't know, influenced by what you're doing? Are they paying close attention to you? Are they? Do you think that you've had any sort of impact in terms of more inclusion, more diversity in content, or do you think that you had an impact on the television landscape?
In a sense. Because you obviously get the YouTube analytics, and it breaks down each country. It breaks down how many people watch it in these places. Australia, funnily enough, wasn't our biggest, wasn't in the top sort of 5 of viewers. America was at the top in 20%, and then wait for this one, Saudi Arabia. 18% of our viewership.
Oh my goodness!
Which is both beautiful and also a little bit tragic, I think.
Yes, because, I mean, what's the story? Well, I think we both know what the story there is. It's, of course, a completely repressed society where, I mean, homosexuality isn't even, it's not even, how can I put this, recognized to exist.
Well, no, they'll kill you if they think you're gay.
Absolutely.
Which is really sad. But we had a lot of people reach out from there, so there's obviously a lot of pink sheiks in that town. So it's both a really good insight into what's accepted in certain cultures and countries and what's not. But obviously there is gay people everywhere, They're not going away.
Precisely. And what you're doing there is you're flying kind of under the radar, and so your global reach is tremendous. I really didn't see the I didn't see the Saudi Arabia coming there, but in a way it makes complete sense. You are reaching audience that before were completely unreachable.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the series is pretty sassy. Obviously, it's a safe sex campaign via the ACON's modus of operandum, and basically, to get to the point where the condoms have got to go on, you need to have the whole sex thing happening.
Precisely.
So there's a bit of sassiness and titillation, and no, we're proud of it. We're really proud of it.
Well, as you should, as you completely should.
And the whole team behind it's been a joy to work with.
All right. Well, let's ask you a broader question here, because again, yesterday we were talking about diversity and all its facets in contemporary media and entertainment production. Do you think we're headed in the right direction? Do you see that there's a global shift, or at least larger shifts in terms of actual meaningful inclusion, or is it still kind of a sort of, I don't know.
Tokenistic?
Yeah, pretty much.
There definitely is.
Where do you think we're going?
I think there's definitely a paradigm shift that's happening for the better. in Australia, I
yeah.
know that there's a lot of effort and a lot of initiatives via the screen agencies, both Screen Australia, Create New South Wales, where I'm from.
Yes.
AFTR's the film school, Screen Producers Australia. They're opening the doors to give opportunity to missed or underrepresented minorities or communities that never had that sort of
absolutely
opportunity, right? So it's not just about on the screen either. So it's easy to say we don't want to whitewash a cast, but you also need authenticity through the writing and the heads of department and the
precisely
and all that sort of thing. So I think Australia, from my point of view, I feel really comfortable with where it's at. And they're going all out, to bring equality across what we do, which is lovely, and that's the way it should be. Like, I don't know why there's any pushback on it.
Oh, well, backlash, unfortunately, is part of the game. It's something that we see on broader subjects as well. But I think it's, probably a good sign. Now, let me see. Are there any particular projects that you're working on today that we should probably put in the spotlight?
Yes, I'm here pimping our probably the most major, highest end, biggest deal that we're about to sign. So the series is called
my goodness.
Who's Seen Jessica Bloom?
Where are we going to find that?
Well, we're working with Wild Bunch at the moment.
Yeah.
They're taking over international sales and pre-sales. Can't go into the story too much because if I tell you the log line, it'll give it away.
Okay.
But it's
all right.
It'd be the most highest end show that I believe's come out of Australia.
Fantastic. Brian, you've been amazing. Thank you for talking really straight with me, pun intended. And I'm glad to see that we've come a long way since Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
We love Stephen Elliott.
Of course.
See you,
Thanks. Thank you for being on the show. Thanks very much.
Peace, love, harmony.
You too, man. All right. Hello, MIPCOM. How are you doing? Folks over there, it's me, David Fox, here with Wonder Media Imagination in Motion. And I, again, have a very special guest with me. That would be Bunmi Akintonwa. Am I pronouncing that correctly,
That's
Bunmi?
right, David Fox.
Brilliant. Yes, that's me, David Fox. And I'm here with you today to talk not just about MIPCOM, but let's first start where we should. Tell us a bit about yourself. Why are you here at MIPCOM in Cannes?
Well, I've been coming to Cannes for many years, generally as a distributor, a producer, or a writer.
Yes.
And as I think you know, I'm a member of the Diversity and Inclusion
Yes, that's
Advisory
right.
Board. And since being involved in this movement, I've become very passionate about making sure that people that are underrepresented
Yes.
get a voice within the industry.
Precisely.
So my company, the Little Black Book Company, has started a new side to the business,
Yes.
which is called Untapped. And this is a collection of underrepresented people who are excellent at their jobs, coming from all over the world. And they have different projects,
Yes.
which we're bringing together to form, and we formed a slate of programs. And I'm really looking for seed funding so that I can,
good.
so that I can spend all my time working on something which I really believe in.
Absolutely. Now, I believe you told me beforehand that you're also moving geographically. You're
I am.
based in
I
Rome,
am.
and you are going to...
I'm going to London, yeah.
London,
I'm leaving
yes.
Bella Roma, even though Rome
Yes.
is a very beautiful place.
La Eterna.
Yeah. Have you been there?
Oh, many times. Yes, many times. But you are going back to London, and I'm sure to get, well, basically to get involved with a new chapter of your project, as you've just told us about. Yes.
It's something which is, it's easy in London. It's easier
Yes.
because things are actually moving there. There are different organizations
Precisely.
who are also committed to making the world a fairer, more inclusive place, or as I like to call it, normal. Because really,
Precisely.
I don't really think that there's... it's nice that we're talking about diversity and inclusion, and they're just buzzwords, really, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, all that means really is it's a normal, balanced
That's it.
world where you and I have just the same chances as everybody else.
That's what indeed should be normal. And
Yeah.
the fact that we're here sitting and talking about it means that, of course, it still isn't.
No.
Which is where diversity in media, for instance, come in. Now, your own responsibilities here on the diversity board. In a practical sense, what is it that you do here at MIPCOM to ensure that diversity in content, but also I'm guessing in the way that the power structures within the entire entertainment industry work? What is it that you do to?
Are you asking about my job on the board?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you know the history of how it all started. There were just a few of us initially, and a group which we call Diversify TV.
That's right.
And we began by having informal drinks with a group of people.
That's usually how good ideas get started.
Yeah, exactly. And it was really on. It was clear. It was really about visibility because we could see that there were very few people that looked like us in the industry.
Precisely.
Few and
Yes.
far between.
Yeah.
And we started to meet, and it gained a little bit of momentum.
Yeah.
And it attracted the attention. First of all, it attracted the attention of A&E, who were, I think, they had a group of delegates there, and who came down and joined our gathering. And after that, there was David Ellender also from Sonar. Lots of other people joined. They became our sponsors. It grew from that. And we started to have summits.
Precisely.
Where we started to discuss some of the issues which we felt were neglected and important. So that's a long-winded way. That's the background of it.
Sure.
And
sure.
so now Reed Meadham have come on board. And they've got very much behind it. They've really made it part of the whole structure. So it's threaded throughout the event. So it's our job to help them choose topics, to choose panel members, to help find keynote people, and to make sure it's relevant.
Yes, and I'm sure to make sure it goes beyond what I can, well, maybe call superficial kind of inclusion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it seems like such an easy thing to just kind of, I don't know, try and tick certain boxes without actually changing anything at the core.
Yeah,
But what you are doing, obviously, because let's not underestimate the power of the entertainment industry. There's people, obviously, like you are at the head of content production that actually make sure that, I mean, public perception of inclusion, diversity, of exclusion, and equality change dramatically. Yeah.
I hope so. And I hope that as you said, it's very important for it not to be tokenist.
Tokenist, exactly. That's the word.
That's the fear.
Yes.
And I think sometimes that's also a perception which is incorrect.
Yeah.
I find it quite interesting these days because I think with some people, the very word diversity makes them
uncomfortable.
Makes them irritated even.
Defensive, maybe.
Very, very
right?
much
yes,
so.
Yes.
It's a threat.
Like they
threat.
turned themselves into an excluded minority all of a sudden.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah, it's kind of a rhetorical spin that you see, unfortunately, pretty often in these very volatile times. Maybe it's a good sign that we're moving in the right direction. I don't know. I would hate to sound complacent, of course.
No, I think it's also I think it's also because they have a misconception of it.
That's right.
Because
well,
I think they think that it means that we just have to have more women, more ethnic minorities, more LGBT, more disabled people. But I think the most important thing is to make sure, and this is what I want to do, is that the excellence is part of that mix.
Precisely.
Because otherwise it is tokenism and it's not sustainable. And what we're really trying to do, and what I'm obviously trying to do in my work as well, is to prove that there's commercial value in what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And that's already proven, perhaps in the movie industry, and it's starting to become clearer here.
Fantastic. Bunmi, we're out of time, but I want to thank you sincerely for coming on the show. And I want to commend you on your work, and I wish you the best of luck with your endeavors in London, and of course with sponsoring and finding the money that you need, the resources that you need. But I want to thank you personally. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, David.
Thank you very much.
Right,
Bye.
bye.
Bye-bye. And hello there, everybody at MIPCOM Cannes, watching us online live here. My name is still David Fox here with Fox Populi, Wonder Media, Imagination in Motion, reporting live from Cannes. But it's not about me. It's about my two very special guests, so let's turn towards them. I have with me Rania and Anders. Now, obviously, we're here for a very busy kind of studio here today. Are you both comfortable?
Yeah, thank you.
You okay? All right, fantastic. Rania, I'm going to turn towards you first. A little bit about your background story. You're here because of something very special that you created. What is it that you shared with the world?
So I basically documented my journey from Syria to Austria.
Okay.
We made it together, me and Anders, and then it was published by The Guardian.
Mm-hmm.
What I did was that when I left Syria, I decided to film my journey, to share it with the world, and after that it was published and it was seen by over 9 million people.
9 million people.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! You said you decided to film your journey from the very beginning. That was something that you did consciously. It seems like an obvious question, but why did you decide to do this? Were you in any way conscious at the time of the potential impact of this piece of documentation?
So, to me, I've always thought that the real story of escaping a war zone should be told by people who have done it. And it seemed obvious to me that I have the right to be the narrator of this escape.
Absolutely.
And back in 2015, when a lot of refugees came to Europe, there wasn't a single personal story, and it was mostly coverage from professional journalists who have never done this and basically probably will never do it. So it seemed disconnected. People didn't feel that they could relate to what's happening. And I knew if one of the refugees who are really doing it, film or show and share what their journey, people's reaction to the whole migration will be different.
Precisely.
Back then, mostly the newspapers and the TV channels were talking about it, and they were misrepresenting the refugees. They were talking about it as if people have left their homes because it was too easy and there was a choice. They wanted just to come to Europe to earn some money and to get a better life.
The entire anti-immigrant narrative, which is of course much older than the entire crisis in Syria. It's a recurring theme. So what you're doing actually in a way by making that documentary is you're putting yourself into the what you're doing is you're reclaiming agency, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically you're deciding to shape the story authentically from your own point of view. When was your documentary released?
It was released in August 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. 2nd of August.
And in terms of reception, how is this work actually received? What kind of impact has it already enjoyed? Because it must have been massive, potentially.
Yeah, definitely. People's reaction to it was mostly very positive.
Right.
I've got a lot of messages from people saying that you've changed our minds and thank you for sharing it, and we didn't think that it was like this. We have a different perspective right now. People were really happy that they've seen a normal human being.
Yes, precisely.
Not very different from them.
Precisely.
I am a very huge Game of Thrones fan, so people were really happy that they've, I don't know.
You're a human being,
Yes,
basically.
exactly.
Yes, they've. You're a lot more human than I am, so that makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, we're talking about and rehumanization here. Anders, can I quickly talk to you for a second? Anders, what has been your part in this entire creative journey and the story between you two? First, maybe I can ask you how the two of you met. Anders.
We actually met by chance in Syria, in Kobane, where Rania was staying with a family.
Okay.
So I was there filming another documentary series. So I was actually filming fighters taking part in the war.
Right.
So, but I've been earlier working on so-called participatory documentary projects in Afghanistan.
Okay.
So when I met Rania and she said that she wanted to document her journey, we actually had a workshop in Kobana. So we had like a crash course in filming. So Rania would test a GoPro camera and she would walk around and talk and film, and we watched it together, and we also watched some other documentaries worked on earlier, and we talked about basically the basics of filming and how you can tell your own story to a small camera. And then
focusing on the technical as well as...
but also to be natural, because Rania, I think one of the main reasons why this movie has been seen by so many people is that Rania is very natural in front of camera, which is a difficult
Which
thing.
I can see right now.
Yes.
The two of you, in fact.
And she is very good at talking. So so we had some course for a period, and then Rania left. And then we didn't know how far she would get, like all the other refugees leaving
Precisely.
at this time.
Precisely.
It was a very dramatic and intense period, because Europe started to close its borders in the south.
Yes,
So
with very violent repression as well. If we take a look at places like the Hungarian border, the Balkan forests, of course, the Mediterranean Ocean, the Mediterranean Sea. These are gruesome images that none of us, with any kind of degree of sanity, would expect from a time like this. Yet it is, everyday reality still. Still, and I mean, what you're doing really is you're putting a story on the map from your own perspective, which is kind of reclaiming, as you said, which is a very powerful thing to do, isn't it? To reclaim a narrative.
Yeah, I'm not sure if people would actually believe it if they didn't see it, because
Precisely.
in the movie you can see
Yes,
both the crossing of the sea, but also how the Macedonian police is shooting tear gas at Rania and the other refugees.
As if they were criminals.
Yes.
As if they were, beasts almost, huh?
No, it was terrible.
Absolutely. It kind of falls into a category of documentation, which is, of course, primary and fact-based, but also very emotionally intense, I can imagine. I mean, Rania, a question for you, and it's kind of an obvious one, was the montage afterwards, the working, finalizing, and distributing of this documentary, was this something that, how was that process for you emotionally? Because you stood eye to eye with a very traumatic experience, essentially.
Well, honestly, when I was doing it, I was, of course, before I was very afraid before doing the journey and before filming. During the journey, I almost didn't realize the situation. But after I reached Austria and we sat and Anders was doing the editing, and I was seeing all the clips and everything that has been filmed. It was very emotionally. It was very difficult. I cried several times.
I can believe that. I can believe that.
Yeah. So it was. Until now, to be honest, every time I have to watch it, it's not easy.
No.
So I guess when you're going through it, you get some sort of strength that makes you overlook what's happening and think of the bigger or the better future or something better that's going to happen.
Precisely.
But when you sit and reflect on what had happened with you and what you've been through, it's very difficult. It wasn't easy at all.
Well, I'm going to be very honest. It's, of course, an experience that I cannot begin to imagine. I think that's basically the problem, is that through this narrative, you're making it visible. You're making it relatable. Well, Rania, Anders, I'm going to be very honest. One of the more gripping stories, really, that we've heard here, especially given your first-person experience here. I wish I could talk to you for hours. I really wish I could.
Thank you.
We're out of time here, but I want to thank the two of you for much more than just being here. Yeah. Also for reclaiming a part of our history, which I hope generations from now we will look on with a degree of very serious self-examination. And, of course, I thank you for being here, and I wish you all the best of luck with future projects.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, thank you. Alrighty, MIPCOMers here in Cannes, France. It's me again, David Fox here with Fox Populi at Wonder Media Imagination in Motion, and I have again a very special guest with me. That would be Sallyann Keizer. Am I correct? Pronouncing that correctly, Sallyann?
Absolutely correct. Hello, David. How are you
Hello.
doing?
I am doing marvelously A-okay. Thank you
You're
for
looking
asking.
very dapper today, may I say.
I'm going for casual chic. Do you think I'm nailing this?
You are. What about me? How do I look?
You look absolutely spectacular.
Thank you.
Yes, I love the glasses, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Or from New York.
Oh, look at that. How very cosmopolitan. Chit-chat aside, Sallyann, you're here for a very specific reason. You have a very important responsibility here at MIPCOM, or even MIP Junior to be precise. Tell us about what you are doing here in Cannes.
Well, I'm very honoured to have been invited to be on the MIP Markets Diversity Board. So I'm here speaking, and I've been presenting a session called Unconferencing at MIP Junior, which is this wonderful session to do with diversity and inclusion, where we invited everyone into the room openly to have a dialogue and a conversation about how we in children's content can move forward when it comes to diversity and inclusion. So that was the highlight of my MIP, but I'm here for lots of other reasons too, but that's my real passion.
So you're saying that this got started by basically inviting a bunch of people in the room and just having open dialogues.
But it was a session, so like the sessions that we generally hold.
Yeah.
I've lost my earpiece there. Like the sessions that we generally hold, we don't have a panel of experts, so that's the difference.
Oh, that is so refreshing.
But everyone is invited, so anyone can come. So we had some really lovely people who are at the top of the industry game from broadcasters, but we had any little person like me who wanted to join. And my job was to create a safe environment and an environment where everybody felt happy to chat. And so I was lucky because the room filled up. And for 40 minutes, we had a lovely, warm conversation celebrating the work that we're doing well in children's, but also being honest and looking at how far we have yet to go. Across the territories, what was fascinating was we were sharing stories from different territories. And obviously, culturally, there are differences, and everyone's in a different place, depending on their country.
Absolutely.
But it was a great dialogue, and I felt that we moved things forward, albeit we've got a way to go.
Oh, well, absolutely. So let's get this straight so our viewers know what you're actually here for. So you are focusing on children's content. And we've talked about diversity before here at Fox Populi and MIPCOM. But children's content is your own specialty. What about your own company? Do you focus on producing children's content? Has that always been your specialization?
Absolutely.
Okay.
From the company's perspective, I started off in journalism and news and current affairs.
Yeah.
But I've been doing children's television now for 25 years, started at the BBC. Had the company for 18 years, based in London. And my passion from day one was to give young people a voice and to empower them. And at the same time, to create highly entertaining and engaging content that's the number one shows globally, but actually that had social impact as well. So at the heart of everything that I've done from day one has been looking at lots of social issues, but always had a passion for the area of diversity and inclusion. And how do we ensure that all children's voices are reflected? How do we ensure that all children can look at content and see themselves reflected in that content? They can self-identify whilst also learning from other children that are different from them.
Precisely. Well, I mean, this discussion can be completely opened up. I mean, I'm kind of thinking of big companies like Disney that have, inspired generations for years, just like you are doing today. And of course, the entire Disney princess kind of stereotype, of course, it deeply influences, for instance, the kind of gender concepts that young girls and boys grow up with. And so what kind of strategy is it that you, for instance, specifically use to ensure that proper inclusion is guaranteed? What is it that you do?
I mean, I think there's two things I'll say there. One is I've had the joy of actually working with Disney and David Levine, who's absolutely at the forefront of having a voice, and he joined us on the board this year when it comes to diversity and inclusion. From my perspective, I think the real focus for me is how do we create content that is authentic? That has an authentic voice and isn't, dare I say it, that tick box thing, which historically is something that we've all, we've known has occurred. I think the really big thing is also looking at our teams. Do we have within teams people from those less represented minorities?
Exactly.
And part of the discussion we had yesterday was, yes, we're moving forward. Sometimes we'll have a consultant or X or Y, but actually we were talking about, hold on, what about at the heart of it having a writer, a producer, a director? How about having the core team? We spoke to somebody yesterday whose costume designer was from Aboriginal background. And so we're looking at both on screen and how do we ensure that is authentic representation, but behind the screen, you know, how do we do that? And actually, let's look at how diverse our teams are and how we actually ensuring those voices are included in our work.
I have to say that is really the key, isn't it? I mean, inclusion happens from within, and you're bringing perspectives to the team, and obviously representation can only happen genuinely if those people are actually also responsible for the content coming from very different, walks of life. That is absolutely crucial. Tell me, Sallyann, what kind of projects are in the pipeline for you right now? What are you working on? Any particular projects that you're eager to showcase that we can help you promote?
I've got a very exciting project, which is
Tell
my
us.
favourite one. It's a cast of canines, so it's real dogs with very quirky animated mouths, and they're vlogging. So they all vlog on their beds and in their bedrooms.
That is excellent.
And the dog's actually conceptually 80% children and 20% dog. So all of the personalities and characters have actually been based upon research with children that exist out there. And so when it comes to the diversity and inclusion, what's absolutely delightful is that amongst our characters, we decided to create 6 main characters who were equal. And so amongst our main characters, we've got one character who identifies as LGBT+, we've got a character with ADHD.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Let me tell you about the Dachshund Elvis, who is on 2 wheels. His 2 legs are normal, his 2 back wheels are there. We've got a Labrapoodle. So that's my real passion at the moment, my doggy project.
Oh, and you have a dog yourself that you were eager to tell us about.
I have a little puppy called Archie. Thank you so much for mentioning him. The love of my life.
Hey,
he's
I
5
promised,
months old, and he's a black Labrador.
Fantastic. I mean, the implications here are endless of what you are doing. I mean, I'm thinking of the world of education as well, which is, of course, very much still a direct channel into the minds of young developing children that are, basically yearning not just for a voice, but also for normalization, identification. And I think it's extremely noble what you're doing and extremely relevant. And I want to thank you for it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I genuinely, passionately believe that if we can reach children at a young age, we as adults have loads of fears, loads of prejudices that come from everywhere, but actually children don't. To children, we're all the same. And
we are the children that, obviously we are the adults that used to be these little critters running around and being so easily influenced by our environment, and that's what we can change today.
And if we amongst us here at MIP can do anything and on the board to move forward and to nurture the next generation, then I go to bed a happy person, as does Archie, my puppy.
As you should. Sallyann, I want to thank you honestly for being on the show with me, and I wish you the best of luck with your future endeavors. And
thank you so much. And next time, please just wear a red shirt next time. I think it would suit you.
Oh, thank you. That's really good advice. See, nobody gives me fashion advice here.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Sally. We're going to let you go now, but thank you again.
It's been a great pleasure. Thank you so much.
Vice versa. Absolutely.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, here we are again, MIPCOM. Ken, it's getting quite late, but don't leave yet because we have another very special guest here with me, of course, David Fox here at Fox Populi. You know it by now, Wonder Media, Imagination in Motion. But again, it is not about the Fox, it is about his guest. And today we have a very special guest again by the name of Mara Bergmann. Am I pronouncing that remotely okay, Mara?
That's amazing. Thank you so much, David, for this invitation. I'm glad to be here.
I practice. So I'm obviously we are. Well, you are visiting Ken from Germany, is it, Mara?
That's it. I come from Cologne in Germany. Very nice city near the River Rhine.
Beautiful historical city, Cologne. Okay, well, anyway, Mara, now obviously you're here at MIPCOM for a reason. You're not just a tourist passing through. Ken, tell us what brings you here.
I work in Germany as a TV presenter, but also as a creator. So I'm really interested in getting all the worldwide ideas, the pitches, and also an impression what's really hot right now.
Right. So you're a bit of a trend watcher. When you say what's hot right now, any particular field, subject, theme that you are a specialist in? Or, I mean, how do we define what's hot, really? I mean, I wouldn't know because I am maybe a bit more old-fashioned.
If I knew, maybe I would have the next big show already on air all over the world. So my main business actually is really being a journalist for TV programs in Germany. I work as a TV news anchor for NTV in Germany.
Yes.
So at the moment, I'm really so busy and working so much. But years ago and also in future, I want to do my own projects again. I did have a little production company working for ZDF and doing some productions like hidden camera stuff, reports, like journalistic stuff. And in future, I'd like to do this and also a little of entertainment. So let's see what comes. I have some pitching ideas already, which I don't pitch this MIPCOM, but maybe next year. It's a like cooperation with a production company, and I can't tell you about it. I think this might be hot, very hot. I hope so. But it's also good to see what people present here, just to get an impression what's on the market right now. But I don't have the stress to have something to sell or to buy this time, so I really can concentrate on the appointments, on the nice contacts here at the MIPCOM.
Well, honestly, Mara, by the way you built that tension up right there, I can tell you're a good saleswoman already because I want to know what those ideas are, and I want you to come back next year and tell us all about them. So basically, you'll, you will have come up with a pretty hot concept. Now, you work for NTV or NTV. So again, tell us a bit about them. What kind of company is this? Where, what is their field of specialty, if you will? Do they have a national reach? That kind of stuff.
That's it. It's a German language TV program. So we do the daily news and we cover it the whole day through. So whenever you want to get informed, you always get news at our channel, and it's really a big channel belonging to RTL Group. We are located in Cologne, just near the river, which is a really beautiful point. But for
I bet it's beautiful there.
It is. Our offices, our studio is amazing. You have to watch NTV. Right. You can watch it also digitally on the NTV app.
Yeah.
And it's a great team. Also in Berlin, in our capital, we have a big NTV studio, and it's great working there. I love the team, and we really bring the news very quickly on air. Whatever happens, if it's politics, sports, or something happening like a big storm, or also a terroristic attack.
You have to be there. You have to be there.
Cover it.
This kind of brings me to a kind of problem in journalism, of course. We live in such an information-saturated age. Also, everything has to happen immediately. You know, if something happens, you have to be there with the story. Is this a problem that you think news media are sufficiently addressing, that maybe people are, journalists are, for very understandable reasons, too eager to get the story out, that we lack a bit of nuance in today's media landscape? Do you think that's a problem?
I don't think it's a problem, but for sure it's a subject we are looking at, we're working for, because we have a massive flow of news, of pictures, of videos, whatever happens. All the social media platforms, YouTube, is directly full of videos that all people can upload, and that leads to the point that there's people who upload videos that don't maybe belong to this one event, and the subject fake news or
there we go.
Disinformation.
Because there we go. That's a big one. Yeah.
We really have to have us journalists as pros who can watch these videos, watch the photos, and therefore we have a great team of journalists who just
precisely
verify these videos before bringing them on air. So we are quick, we have to tell people if there is a situation like a terroristic attack, because they read it already in social media, and then it's us pros who have to really look what is right, what is wrong, and to tell people what we know, but also what we don't know yet.
You think it's interesting because I was going to ask you, and then it's your turn to frame the story. And that's, of course, where the problem lies, is that every story has its angle. And objectivity, of course, is a beautiful ideal, but it's so difficult because you always have to double-check your news sources. And, of course, we rely on journalists to be the kind of gatekeepers of information. It's a huge responsibility. You mentioned fake news there, and of course alternative facts, stuff like that, which is not only your job to make sure that we get the right information, but also that entire, how can I put this, ideological influence on how information is spread seems like such, I'm losing myself here, but let me put it this way. In one way, the internet has completely democratized information. All of us can get and produce news ourselves. The bad thing is, it seems to me that credibility of news sources seems to be on the decline, and people are, kind of forming their own stories more actively. Which brings me to the next point, because you're not just a journalist, you're also your own brand, if you will, right?
That's it. Maybe I can add some point,
Please
which is
do.
very important. I think we, our company formed a verification team, and this belongs to a worldwide team. They special or lots of TV broadcasters, also radio stations are part of it worldwide, and we have a team where we send all the videos and also photos to where we aren't sure, is this right, is this a fake? So they check it, and before we send it, we more and more important to have these experts, and every journalist working for our company or for our TV station gets also a workshop and really learns how to distinguish between videos, is this right, is this wrong, and our team just does this. So this is really important to have.
Well, but it's a huge responsibility. It's something that I think we're going to have to keep a very close eye on in the future. And obviously, when we talk about real, obviously, we talk about virtual. And one of the many things that we're, as a company here, Imagination in Motion Wonder Media, are very interested in is, of course, the technology behind virtual and augmented reality. Is this something that's on your own radar as a journalist or, a multimedia, expert, if I can call you that?
For sure, it's really on my monitor because it's for me the very first time talking to a virtual
what are you talking about? There's nothing virtual
David.
about me.
Come on.
I'm totally legit.
You're quite liquid there. I don't...
liquid, that's one I haven't heard. That's okay.
Yeah, but it's really a great experience, and it shows something very serious too.
Yes.
I think it's, on the one hand, a big chance. For example, you could be a Hollywood star that I may be interviewing, who maybe just doesn't have time to fly to Germany for a little interview, but who can be like this, or maybe as a hologram in my studio. But on the other hand, it can be very dangerous because there can be people who more easily can fake things. So I think for the news, maybe we have to pay attention. But for an entertainment show or a talk show, this can be a great technique to work with. And it was very interesting. I saw the Fresh TV show and the trailers here at MIPCOM, and there was one UK format which is called Voices of the Graves. It really touched me.
That sounds
I thought
morbid.
It's morbid, and I was a little bit pro and con. I think it's so emotional. They have people who know they're gonna die soon. They record holograms of themselves. That are played to their beloved ones after they passed away. So this is really emotional, and I thought, oh my God, it's ethically, it's a little.
It's a very it's
complicated theme.
Precisely complicated.
But it's emotional, and my dad passed away a year ago, and I would love
to hear that.
Such a message from him, but not on television maybe, but still it's very impressive to see how good these holograms already are. I mean, you look great, but still I see you're not real. But
really?
next year, maybe
That is fake news. It's how am I not real? That's a good one right there. I mean, no, of course I know. The stuff you just described is just it's very gripping, and it sounds like every Black Mirror episode is coming to reality before our eyes. Even I believe there is an episode in that series called I think Be Right Back, where a young man passes away, and he's actually brought back through technology as a computer program. I mean, do you think this kind of stuff is going to happen to us as a society? That we're
I
going
never
to
say
embrace
never.
this?
I really
Okay.
am curious what happens
Sure.
in future, and I would love to live longer than we all are able to live, because I'm so curious what happens in future.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be
Well-
very rapid.
well,
and
here's
I think
the
yes,
thing.
maybe you can scan some kind of. I don't think the personality, but maybe some traits
Yeah.
of character or something.
Well, I
to
mean, I know
rebuild
that
people.
I am, okay, I'll admit, totally virtual here,
Yeah.
but even you, there's a chance that you might, one day, or part of you might be uploaded as a kind of program, and maybe you'll become your own avatar. I'm drifting off here, of course.
I mean, this is I think
Yes.
it can be. I wonder. Yeah. I
Yes.
mean, as a woman, it's harder to rebuild the hair like digitally
Oh,
already.
okay,
So
that's
it's
a-
maybe easier
look.
to replace men presenters than women.
practical, short-haired.
But there's a danger
advantage.
too. You have maybe also mobile apps like social media
Sure,
apps.
sure,
And there
sure.
you can put a photo of a president, for example, of
Yes, yes.
Trump
Oh,
on another
oh,
face,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you could
yeah, yeah.
also build some news, some statements, and one day you won't see, is this the real Trump, or is this maybe
Precisely.
David
That's actually one
behind?
of the questions that we had as a media company here. Is there, same with artificial intelligence, are we going to see virtual reality that's able to convince people that they're in our physical world? Because I'm thinking in terms of entertainment or
I
and
mean, for us
tourism
women,
even.
it can be amazing because, for
Yeah.
example, I can be in 50 years my younger me, so I can work forever as a TV presenter.
Yeah.
How amazing is
yeah,
that?
of course. Well, Mara, these are, of course, it's not just food for thought. We could go on forever here, virtually forever. See what I did there? Yeah. Mara, one more thing that I basically wanted you to touch upon. You have a social media canal that you wanted to basically advertise for a moment. Go ahead. So where can we find you in your online endeavors?
I have several ones with my name, Mara Bergmann. You find them.
Okay.
But on Instagram, I have a special name with a special story behind. I have the name Captain Mara.
Captain Mara.
And this is just because I love the ocean so much here in Cannes. Oh my God.
What?
Every minute I can, I have
Yeah.
appointments near the ocean. But I love the ocean. And my grandpa, when I was small, taught me how to drive boats. And that's why
I see.
became a captain when I was 16, just for little boats. But I love it.
Yeah, and you're calling me liquid.
Yeah. I love the liquid. So I'm a big fan of the ocean.
I
so
see that now. I see that now.
I love your outfit, like a blue jacket. It's really
Thank
nice.
you. I've had many compliments.
Hope
and
to see you again,
it's-
David.
Sorry?
Hope to see you again
Hope
one
to
day.
see you again, Mara. Thank you very much for being here on the show. We're going to wrap things up, and we wish you all the best with your career, not just virtually, but really. So thanks again, and I think that is a wrap. So thank you, Mara Bergmann.
My pleasure.
Our pleasure.